Alright, so this is my tips for a basic plan for moving to the lower 48, specifically Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. On this case, as I've moved down there and back up to Alaska. So the reasons to plan ahead when planning your move to the lower 48. It may sound like a simple task and that you can just pack up all your belongings and hit the road south. But considerations of the move should include areas such as maintenance on your vehicle, frequency of gas stations, locations of hotels or camping locations, among many other areas covered in the planning process you'll form ahead. For this plan, I have set the destination as Coeur d'Alene, as I drove up in 2016, and the travel time from Fairbanks to Coeur d'Alene is approximately 2,300 miles and 40 driving hours. And, breaking the driving time into sections will help you stay awake and focused on the road that many accidents have occurred in the past. So in the early processes of your planning to the lower 48, certain tasks should be completed to be able to make the trip successfully. The most important task is acquiring a passport to allow the travel through Canada. Without the passport, your trip will end as soon as you get to the border. The application for passport and shipment generally take around 2 months, but there is an expedited option for an increase in price. The next consideration should be the vehicle that you're planning on driving in, and it would preferably be all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive with some of the roads, but front-wheel drive will typically make it year-round. A rear-wheel drive would be good enough for the summer months like I did, but that's only from May to September, so any other time I would not recommend rear-wheel drive. But most importantly, the vehicle should be reliable and ensure that any potential issues are eliminated prior to the trip. So planning for your trip with more detail should begin 2 to 4 weeks prior to your departure. In preparing for the trip, it's recommended that you contact your cellular provider and make sure that you have a plan that allows some sort of connection while in Canada. This is just in case you run into trouble while on the highway, and you're going to want some sort of contact information for emergency services in case something bad does happen. Along with the contact information, you should have a physical map with marked locations of hotel and camping sites. And in my experience, I enjoyed staying in a hotel or a motel for the short amount of time I was off the road, just about 5 hours a night, to ensure I got quality rest for the next day and was able to stay focused. Booking these hotels prior to your departure will help keep you on schedule and avoid making the mistake of continuing driving when you may be just too tired to keep going. Typically, there are gas stations near the hotels, and the longest gap between gas stations is no more than 200 miles. So, if your vehicle is can't drive on 200 miles per tank, then I would recommend an extra gas can, just to make sure that you don't run into any problems. So earlier in the plan, it was mentioned that any potential issues with your vehicle should be eliminated. Without any of the major concerns presenting themselves, a basic checkup of the vehicle should be done within a week of your departure. The basic checkup should include checking the fluids of oil, the tranny fluid, and a wiper fluid, as well as ensuring the pressure and tread of the tires are sufficient for the road. As part of a checklist I've provided at the very end of this assignment, make sure that you have a spare tire, a car jack to change the tire, a toolkit, and extra fluids, with the possibility of leaks occurring while you're on the road. And with the Alaska, Canada, or the Alcan Highway, it's known for popping tires, so a full-size spare tire should be stored, and making sure that it's all aired up and ready to be put on. The toolkit and jack, you just need to make sure that they're usable. I know I have a jack in my truck and I've never actually used it, so before I do a long trip, I need to make sure that it works, and everybody else should do that as well. With my personal experience when I drove up from Coeur d'Alene, I felt that planning ahead of time would have better prepared me for the long drive ahead. I had no prior knowledge of the highway and wasn't sure where to pull over for the night. An issue I came across one night was the need for gas, but my credit card wasn't working in the machine when trying to fill up at the gas station. I was worried I wouldn't be able to get gas, and my truck was pretty low. So I talked to a man in a local motel, and he had to give me cash as Canada was at the point where they were requiring the chips in the credit cards for the security purposes, and I didn't have one of those cards yet. And other experiences from people I've talked to over the past few years, they stress the importance of breaking the trip up. As mentioned earlier, you need to plan your stops and make sure you don't push yourself if you're too tired. I know two people personally who have fallen asleep on the Alcan. One of them just ended up in the ditch, and it was snow, so it wasn't too bad. But the other one totaled his truck in the same location that you can see on the screen in Destruction Bay. Knowing your limitations can save your vehicle and your life. And this is just a basic checklist I've provided you to ensure that you can cross off the main points of this plan in preparation for your trip south. That's all I got. Thank you for watching.